Here in this problem we have f of x equals 1 over x minus 1, and again we're supposed to be finding the inverse. So in order to do that, I'm going to first look at f of x as really being y, and then I'm going to replace the x and the y values. So now we have x equals 1 over y minus 1. Now solving for y to get our inverse function in correct notation, we would have both sides multiplied by y minus 1 so that it will cancel. And distributing as we go, we'll get xy minus x equals 1. Now we just need to solve for y. So if I move my x over to the other side, we have xy equals 1 plus x. And then dividing both sides by by x to get y alone, we would have y equals 1 plus x over x. Now this is the inverse function, but we need it to be in correct notation. So for correct notation, we would have f inverse of x equals 1 plus x over x. I said f inverse. F to the negative 1 means inverse function. So that would be our inverse function. Now we need to find the domain and the range of our original and our inverse functions. So looking at the domain of our original, remember that's where the denominator would be 0 at. That's what we have to throw out of the domain. So where x minus 1 is equal to 0, we have a hole in our domain, which would be at the spot where x is 1. So our domain would be the set of all x's such that x cannot be a 1. It can be anything else, just not a 1. For the domain of our inverse function, we could use any x value except what would create a 0 in that denominator. Where x would equal 0, we have a problem. So our domain would be the set of x's such that x cannot equal 0. Now, because of the way inverses work, the domain of the original is the range of the inverse, because we've switched out the x and the y values. So our range of our inverse function will be the set of all y's, because range is y values, such that y cannot equal 1. And again, because of switching out the x and the y values, our domain of the inverse will be the same thing as the range of the original. So this would be the set of all y's, again because range is in y values, the set of y's such that y cannot equal a 0. And this would be our domain and range.